Photography in itself is actually more complicated than you may think. You probably have taken pictures similar to these, but they just feel like they're kinda bad. In this video, I'm going to show you how to get from this to this. First step is, of course, to go into RG by pressing P in a private server. You are then going to want to click here where it says cinematic camera. You can change the speed right there, then move wherever you want. I will go to Sakurina City just for this demonstration because it's full of just tons of different stuff to take pictures of. For example, this Russian guy here. I'll turn speed back to, I'll put it into 0.5 just so I can get into closer movements here. By the way, another tip is to hold shift and then you will be able to move slower. So now press L and then you will go into full screen. And now, of course, you are going to have to choose your focus. In this case, it will be this Russian guy right here. So first thing, you are going to want to zoom in. This will remove the fishbowl effect, which is an effect given if you ever take a picture of yourself, it will kind of distort your face with the camera lens, but zooming in will prevent that. Alright, next you are going to have to choose your framing. In this case, I will want as much in background as possible, just to have some more action in the photo and not have it just be boring, just a picture of just one guy, you know. And I would say maybe this is about good. I got the people in the background there, and that leads me to another rule called the rule of thirds. The rule of thirds is basically if you divide your screen up into a kind of tic-tac-toe pattern where you got a 3x3 grid, you're going to want to have something filling up each space of those 3 or 9 grids in this case. And you're going to want to have your subject be the main focus here, as you can see. So now, this looks fine, but actually I have found another trick that I found out when I was in a faction event. All I did was I went into my normal POV, went into first person, and held my gun out. Now what happens here, if I go back into RG and I hold right click, if I'm zoomed in enough right there, I now have depth of field. This has to be the coolest trick like ever in photography. This makes taking pictures just so much easier. It makes it so easy to differentiate your focus from the background. It's just such an amazing feature, I'll call it, even though it's probably not. And just like that, I'll take a screenshot here. Just wait for the right timing. And we got our picture. Another note is to experiment with angles. You can also try an extreme close-up, like so. Or we can do an angle from below the subject. And just experiment with it. Find whatever looks good to you. You can do a top down. You can take a picture of this alley here. Of this woman. Another thing we can try to do with our pictures is change the time of day. If I change it to, let's say, 17, that is sunset. Also make sure to stop the time. Oops. And then you can have this nice golden sky look to it. And just give your photos some really nice lighting here with the god rays coming from the sun. Like, that looks really nice. Now that I have the picture loaded up into GIMP, which is a free software, I'll link the download in the description. I can now just edit the photo however I like. So I'm gonna start off first by just adjusting the colors a bit. I can turn up the contrast. You can also turn down the brightness with it maybe, or I can increase it. Be sure not to go overboard with any of these settings or else it'll just look horrible. If I completely go over saturated, it just completely ruins the look of it. If you want to go for more of a dark feel, you can desaturate it, and that'll give it more grit, I'd say. For now, I'll just keep it slightly saturated. I can also adjust the shadows here. I can make them brighter, I can make them darker. And this photo's not really needed as much, however. I can turn the color temperature to either make it cold or warm. I think warm would look best in this situation. And now, finally, I can colorize if I want. This is optional. If I want to make it completely yellow, that's a possibility. Or I can change the opacity, give it that Mexico filter, you know? Again, just play around with the settings until you find what looks nice to you. And I'd say that's pretty good. It's a little dark, maybe I can give it a little more brightness. And a big contrast go with that. Just shadows a bit. And I'd say this is a pretty good picture overall. Now, if you do not want to add in any text or whatever, then you can skip to the timestamp shown in the video. Otherwise, if you want to create like an army ad or something, what you can do here is to find your own font online, whatever you think looks the coolest to you. I'll try a white font here. You're gonna have to go with whatever is the most visible. And so now I'll type in like be the best you can be, or some other motivational thing. Here's a good spot for it. Oh, whoops. Let's say on the left side, I got the soldier on the right, and I can have the text on the left. Maybe I'll change the text to black. No, yellow. Or alternatively, you can make the text colored. And then what you can do is you get the paintbrush tool, select that brush, change the aspect ratio to, let's see, like that. Increase the size. Also, be sure to create a new layer. Put that under the text. I'll change that to black, opacity down, hardness all the way up. And we can have a black box in the background to highlight the text. I'll turn the opacity up just a bit. Maybe a little more. and we can have that. I'm still not happy with the text here. I'll adjust it a bit. Maybe I can try a different font. There's another one I like called Bebas New, however you pronounce it. I'll increase the spacing again. I'll make it bold. I'd say around there is good. Also, another thing what I like to do to get rid of this Roblox logo, I use the smudge tool, and I'll just smudge it out of the way. Also, be sure that you have the original photo layer selected. And that looks about natural. Now, if you want to have your character pop up just a little more, as you can see here, it kind of blends into the background. What you can do is you can use your select tool. You're going to outline the edges of the character, or whatever your focus is. Alright, and now once the lasso is finished up, I'll Control C and Control V to create a new layer. And now, as you can see, I have just the character cut out. Now what I can do with this character is I can again change the colors. I can make him pop a bit more. I'll turn up the contrast. Not too much though, I don't want it to look overblown. Let's see, around there is fine. I can turn down the saturation of the background. Like so. And now your character completely stands out. And a plus side to creating an outline of your character is that you can then import a image, or you can use text and put it behind the character. I'll create a new layer. I'll switch back to the yellow and the rectangle paintbrush. I'll change the aspect ratio to around here. Change the angle, size, and opacity. Now what I can do is I can create this cool effect where there's kind of yellow coming from the right side and it's still behind the character. If you want to go deeper, you can again decrease the size and maybe the hardness. You can put little specks like that all over the place. I'll put one on the upper layer here. Just like that. And now I would say this photo is looking pretty good. One thing though is that the character here it does look like a paper cutout just on top of an image. What you can do to fix that, again, get your lasso tool, select just below the edges of the picture. This one doesn't have to be too perfect. Finish it up, and then do another copy and paste. Only do this step once you are done editing the actual picture of the character. Now you're going to want to select the image that is below. You're going to go to Filters, Blur, and Gaussian Blur. And turn it up just a bit. And now, as you can see, it kind of blends in into the background here. Alright, now I believe that is most editing we can do here. So I'm going to right click on the box here, click flatten image, and now we're going to do some final touches. I'm going to go to filters, noise, HSV noise. This is optional if you want, but I like to have a lot of noise here and increase the dulling. And it just gives it that film kind of grainy look. Just like that. You can also go into lighting here. You can increase the bloom and give your image just some nice lighting. You can go into lighting effects. You can put a source of light if you want. I can put like a yellow light radiating from the yellow parts here. I'll increase the intensity around 4, distance maybe 2 instead, 2.5. Yeah. Personally, I prefer it like this, but or we can mess around with it. You can go back into filters, press reshow, change the color. And there's that. And to finish it off, you can add your own watermark. I like to have mine either in the top middle or in the bottom middle. And then I'll just make it blend in a bit. I can go into color to alpha, select that color, and just increase the transparency threshold just a bit. I'll add noise to that also. And there we go. Picture is done.